Hi there, my beautiful subscribers. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And if you have not subscribed and you like my content, kindly subscribe. Every single like, every single subscription really helps get this work out, as all of this content is pretty much created for free. So today is a very sacred day because today is the day of Mars, and I have been discussing with you the Dasamahavidyas in many blogs, in many videos, and I have been, trying to get across goddess workshops to you, planetary invocation workshops as well, where you learn to deal with all the planetary bodies as well as Rahu and Ketu through mantra, through yantra, and how to find balance, especially if you're going through some kind of Mahadasha, like a malefic Mahadasha or Antardasha. So it's very important that you learn to understand the deities associated, especially for people who are interested in Dasamahavidya worship. It's absolutely important to understand which Mahavidya is associated to which planet. So that's why this video will explain to you which planet is associated to which Mahavidya and a bit of their energetic signatures. So Kali is a primordial goddess, and Kali's association lies with Saturn. So if you're going through a Sadhisati, as I am going through a peak Sadhisati as I speak to you. So if you're going through Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn Antardasha, or if you're going through even a Saturn return or your second Saturn return, then it's very good to work with the energy of Kali, for she will guide you on how to balance your Saturn. Saturn is black, his color is black, and Kali is black, and the blackness denotes abstract space. There was a reason the ancient tantrics conceived of the form of Kali as a wrathful emanation. Now we've seen this happen time and again in many systems, that deities are not only given benefic representations, but they are given wrathful emanations, because then you immediately look beyond the illusory nature of appearance. So it makes you really go dig quite deep, right? Now Tara is known as Bhavatarini, and Tara comes from the word Tarini, which means to take you across the samsaric seas. Now, many esotericists have said that the word tarot comes from Tara, which were tantric thanka, a kind of scrolls, which were kept in the ancient temples. So, tarot comes from Tara. Now, the planet associated with Tara is Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is the principle of expansion. Jupiter is a great benefic, and oftentimes we see that the tantric form of Tara is black. And Tara is not only worshipped by the tantrics, by Hindu tantrics, but she's also revered in the Buddhist system as well as in the Jaina system. So Tara is found actually all over, in Japan, in China, in Thailand. So, and in the Buddhist system, she has many different colors which show different facets of her emanation. Okay, so the next Mahavidya is Shoroshi. And Shoroshi is oftentimes visualized as a 16-year-old girl. And her association lies with the planet Mercury. Now we all know that Mercury is immediately associated with prepubescent people, maybe adolescents, maybe even teenagers. But Mercury significations are always about immature people. Okay, so Shoroshi also represents youth, That means she has a lot of energy to pursue the path, the correct path. So Mercury, and oftentimes you pray to Shoroshi when you are doing something mercurial. Now, if you ask me honestly, most things we do now are mercurial, because even money is not like gold or silver or coins anymore. It's zeros and ones in a computer. So if you're looking to procure even something, Shoroshi is associated to the planet Mercury. Now, I am using the Bengali pronunciations of the Dasamahavidya, because honestly the most amount of work in the world on the Dasamahavidya and the whole goddess worship structure comes from Bengal. So that is why there is a Sanskrit pronunciation, but I am pronouncing it in the original Bengali way as the texts were written. Now the next Mahavidya is Bhuvaneshwari. Now Bhuvaneshwari is directly connected to the moon. Her association is with moon. In the Vedic system, we do not consider moon to be feminine, whereas in the Western tropical system, we consider Luna to be feminine. However, in the Nadi system in Laya Yoga, we see that the moon is associated to the Ida Nadi, which is the feminine Nadi. Right now, Bhuvaneshwari's link is with the moon. So moon, moon is linked to our mother, to our menstrual cycle, to our emotions. So even to marriages and relationships actually. So any form of moon imbalance can show up as phlegm, can show up as kapha imbalances. I've spoken to you about vata, pitta and kapha. So if you have an air imbalance, it's vata. If you have a fire imbalance, it's pitta, and the water imbalance is kapha. So when you have kapha imbalance, it means that your moon energy of the moon needs balance. That means the Ida Nadi needs balance. Okay, and it's not just about being male, female, because we all have male-female polarities within. So when you touch base with the moon inside, you touch base with the mother in you. Okay, you touch base with the feminine within you, the receptive side of things. Okay. Now, Bhairavi is associated to the Lagna. That is, and Lagna is associated to the time of birth. Okay. So, it's very, very important because it is the rising sign actually. And in your natal chart, if you have, say, any disturbances from Ketu, Saturn, Mars on your rising, then you pray to Bhairavi. Okay, and actually the thing with Bhairavi is when a tantrika or when a woman embarks on the path of Tantra, she is oftentimes known as Bhairavi. So that's a direct connection to the ascendant degree, that directly, if you have a malefic like Saturn on your rising, exact on that degree, then it's very possible that you might get a lot of remedial effects if you pray to Bhairavi. Okay. Now Chinnamasta is associated to Rahu. Now very interesting, if you look at the iconography of Chinnamasta, you see that she has a decapitated head. And Rahu is Kaput Dragonis, or the decapitated head of the dragon that Vishnu severs with his Sudarshan Chakra. So there's a lot of work that the Vedic astrologers have done on the nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu. In fact, the Babylonians, the Vedic astrologers were very into the nodes of the moon. Now we see that Western astrologers were not so concerned about the nodes of the moon till VIDYAS Valens came along, and he was a Turkish astrologer who did who's a practicing astrologer, and he wrote, not only wrote about astrology, but gave us charts of the clients that he was working with. So he gave the nodes a lot of importance. So Rahu and Ketu. So Chinnamasta basically decapitates her head to feed her attendees Jaya and Vijaya. So again, if we look at the symbology, we see the compassion of the mother, how the mother is ready to sacrifice herself to feed her children, and how the cycle of life must go on. Because if you do not decapitate the head, then there is no cycle. Then the cycle ends right there. But without decapitation, the cycle continues and a new cycle cannot begin. So actually the energetic signature of Chinnamasta and Rahu is very similar to the fixed star Algol, which is in the astrological sign of Taurus. So if you have a Scorpio rising, but on the late side of Scorpio, you are opposite Algol. Or if you have something in Taurus, you have Algol conjunct, maybe your rising, maybe your sun, moon. So again, this decapitation of the head may sound frightening, but it actually means ego severance. It means to do away with 3D understanding and to get illumination further. And that is what Chinnamasta does, and she is connected to the astrological body, which is one of the nodes of the moon, the north node called Rahu, the head of the dragon. I told you before that the head of the dragon has no stomach. So Rahu is forever hungry. So if you are non-stop, for instance, I have a Rahu on my rising. Okay. So that could mean that, I'm voracious for experiences. And it happens to people because Rahu gets hungry and it does not know how to digest or how to satisfy that hunger. So that's why Rahu's techniques are subversive. So Chinnamasta's iconography is very, very interesting. And I wrote a lot about Chinnamasta also in my novel, The Plan. So I'll get to that. As I release the novel, you can read a bit about that. Because, I've got the Dasamahavidyas are embedded in my mind since I was a little girl. And their planetary connotations have always interested me. So now moving on to Dhumavati. Now Dhumavati is very interesting because she is she is exactly like Hecate. She's a crone, she's a widow, and she literally swallows up Shiva. Okay, so that means that Dhumavati is the energy that remains in the world when Shakti eats Shiva and Pralaya is about to sound. So they say that Dhumavati, the energetic signature that is Dhumavati, survives even after Pralaya. So this is an energy that is beyond space and time, Chronos being space and time. There again we see the myth of how Saturn castrated his father Uranus, and from his semen was born Aphrodite Venus, and who's actually a symbolic understanding of our 5 senses. When you look at the pentagram that Venus draws in the sky, it is symbolic of our 5 senses. So Dhumavati is very inauspicious. She is almost like Niritri and Jeshta and Lakshmi. These are feminine deities that most people do not work with because they symbolize everything inauspicious. Now Ketu is a very difficult energy. Like I told you, that Ketu is the principle of subtraction. So it subtracts wherever it is. So like Ketu on the rising can be a very dangerous experience to have as you pivot through life with that natal placement. Or even if you're going through a Ketu Mahadasha or a Ketu Antardasha, it can be very, very problematic because Ketu is spiritual. So it has no balance, it has no understanding of the material world. It is the tail of the dragon. So, if you understand Ketu's energy, it is the past. It is our past lives. It's where we've come from. And Rahu is where we are collectively going together. But yet again, there's a very interesting correlation between these two astrological bodies. So Dhumavati cannot be worshipped in the house. Dhumavati Kriya can only be done by a very experienced sadhak who's already got their the mantra sadhana of Dhumavati, and who, because a lot of baleful magic is done through the energy of Dhumavati, as a lot of people do baleful magic through Hecate. So in a sense, if you understand the iconography of Hecate, you will see a lot of things are similar. The association with crows, and I made a video where I link Hecate to Saturn. So you immediately understand that Dhumavati is also of the energetic signature of Saturn, because Ketu is of the energetic signature of Saturn, whereas Rahu is of the energetic signature of Mars. So to worship Dhumavati, it's not easy, because this is an energy, like I said, is beyond space and time, and if you invoke this energy, you may lose interest in the material world, and that can be problematic if you are not looking at renouncing life, because Dhumavati sadhana is ideally not done by married couples, because it can create discord at home. So even a bija is not chanted at home, can only be done in a cremation ground or in an abandoned building or at crossroads. Again links to the symbolism of Hecate, the keeper of keys, and the goddess you find at crossroads. Now we have Bagala, and today is Bagalamukhi's day. Bagala is the 8th Mahavidya, and her direct connection is to the astrological body of Mars. So Mars is the action principle, and he is a lesser malefic. He's very dry and very hot. So the thing with the benefics and malefics is benefics tend towards moderation, whereas malefics are all about extremes. So if you have an afflicted Mars, if you're a Scorpio rising, or if you have like Mars in the first, like I do, I have a Virgo Mars, and Mars has no essential dignity in an earth sign. Mars rules the fire sign, Aries, and the water sign, Scorpio. Mars is the nocturnal ruler of the water triplicity. Okay, but Mars does not do well in Virgo, which is very analytical, although Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, exactly 28 degrees of Capricorn. So we see that when you have Mars afflictions, and honestly that is the reason for divorces, 99%, even Saturn is responsible, but Mars is the key component to why infertility, abortions, divorces, accidents, house burning down, and all of these are Mars afflictions, sudden death, sudden accidents. So to balance Mars, the Mahavidya to invoke is Bagalamukhi, and it is actually today is the day of Bagalamukhi. It is the day of Mars, and it's very advisable to wear something yellow, just like I'm wearing a yellow sari, or if you can, a yellow silk sari, or anything, even cotton will do. And you invoke Bagalamukhi. I've got a detailed video on how to invoke Bagalamukhi, and I've got tons of blog posts. So you may go through all my material, and you can just listen to a mantra to start off with every Tuesday, and then you may look her up online and get her image and make an altar for her. Her color is, of course, Mars is red. Her color is yellow. And ideally wear something with yellow and red when you invoke Bagalamukhi. And of course, like I mentioned in the video, her beej is lean. So any Mars afflictions, debilitation, accidental debility of Mars, Mars conjunct Saturn, Mars conjunct dangerous fixed stars like Algol, or Antares, then you need to invoke the energy of Bagalamukhi. And she not only makes you take the right action, and she not only stops action from getting foiled. Because if you see that you're a Scorpio rising and you have a difficult Mars, or Mars is in a very tricky situation in your chart, and you have a day chart and Mars is burning in more in that day chart, then you need Bagalamukhi to balance that very fierce Mars energy. Also, sometimes losing hair, if you invoke Bagalamukhi, literally grows back. So because Mars rules the face and the head. And it is also said that Bagalamukhi sadhaks have the power of Stambhan, because that is the Mahavidya, that is the power of Bagalamukhi, is Stambhan, which means to stun into stupefaction. And the enemies that we speak about in the tantric texts are the demons that we speak about are actually the demons of our own mind. That the energy of Bagalamukhi or Kundalini stuns and stupefies. So oftentimes they say when a Bagalamukhi sadhak walks into a room, people are stupefied. Because if with that mantric kavach, with that the proper establishment of the beach in their being, they achieve her power of stupefaction. So Bagalamukhi can be invoked for money, for fame, for court cases, for baleful magic removal, curse removal, all kinds of hex removal, all kinds of negative intention removal. Okay, for that the day is Tuesday. Okay, please check out my detailed video, or drop me an email if you want to work with the Dasamahavidyas. If you have any planetary imbalance, you can book a reading with me. I'll tell you what imbalances you have, and then you can take my planetary workshop where you learn to invoke the planetary daimon, because all planets are alive just as you and me are alive, and we can talk to them, we can connect with them. It is very, very possible. Okay, now we've got Matangi. Matangi is the consort of the sun. So if you have any solar imbalances, even heart disease, because the sun rules the heart chakra. Sun rules the astrological sign of Leo. The nakshatra is Magha nakshatra. So if you have, say you have your sun in Leo conjunct Saturn, then you have the greater malefic conjunct your sun. Sun is your soul's aspiration. Sun is how you illuminate things and how you shine in the world. Okay, so having your sun suppressed, or if the sun is at the bottom part of your chart, that means it's a repressed sun. Okay, if sun is in the 12th house, like mine is, then this is a malefic house. The sun is in the 8th house. Problems with the father, problems with authority. Okay, and sun is about really displaying our courage, our soul's courage in this world, whereas Mars is more our physical courage, but sorry, but the sun is our soul's courage. When we come into this world, we make a contract, and that contract is our natal chart. So if you have a repressed sun in any way, if you have problems with your father, if you're having problems with your husband, father-in-law, boss, king, because the signification of the sun is king. Even if you're having problems with authority, it would be very worthwhile to invoke the energy of Matangi. And this is obviously to be done on a Sunday. Now, Kamala is the Mahavidya that is directly related to the astrological body of Venus. Kamala is the tantric version of Lakshmi. So she is very auspicious, just like Venus. Although, as I said, Venus is known as Shukra in the Vedic system and is not a feminine planet. Okay, so Venus rules the thyroid, the hormonal system, the endocrine system, even our genitalia, So our lungs, Venus rules through Gemini. So it's it's pretty interesting, you know. I mean, not the lungs, sorry, Mercury rules the lungs, but the endocrine system, the thyroid system, okay, and interestingly, if you have Shukra imbalances, that means you have infertility issues, maybe erectile dysfunction. Venus also means relationship issues, so problems in your marital life, or maybe in your relationship issues, or maybe, you know, people just like you to a certain point and nobody wants to commit to you any further, or nobody wants to marry you, or stuff like that. If, you know, you cannot have a fulfilling, happy relationship, then it would be very worthwhile for you to invoke Kamala, the deity, the Devi known as Kamala. So this was a brief discussion about the Dasamahavidyas and their correlation to the astrological bodies mentioned henceforth. So kindly let me know if you are interested to work with the Dasamahavidyas. I do very personal one-on-one initiations, and you know, where I teach you about the planetary archetypes, as well as tell you the remedies and how to astrologically correct it through mantra, through penance, through spiritual work. And it's possible to mitigate the ill effects of any particular planet, even Saturn, even Ketu, even Mars. But it is not about you being impatient. Okay, it is not some kind of Harry Potter magic where you're like, okay, I've invoked Bagalamukhi for 1 week and, you know, I'm not getting the relationship that I desire, or I'm not being able to look the way I want to. This is about commitment. This is about awakening the Devi energies within you. And I think that is what we need to do as we are turning the round of 2020 and we move into this whole new decade. I think this is something we need to do: connect to the earth, connect to the goddess within, because, you know, we all have male female polarities. So ideally we are heading towards the Hyros Gammas. If you understand the planetary energies and if you invoke the goddesses associated, you alchemically synthesize their properties and their understanding that you have within. So thank you very much. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and drop me an email to book a reading and check out my merchandise. Thank you.